Present order book, what we see is number one will be in the defense sector. And most of the businesses are coming from our export customers in Israel, as well as some of the customers in Europe. So this is going to be the number one business as we go in 26, 27, and 27, 28. The order books are phenomenal, and new inquiries are being generated here.
Welcome to Sunday Investing, and this is our 42nd episode of Know Your Promoter series. And today we have Mr. Sridhar Acharya with us, the MD of Millworks Technologies Ltd. So, how are you?
I'm doing well, Tanmay. Thank you for inviting for this talk.
So, before starting on the business, I saw a company was incorporated in 2021. So, and I am looking at your financial. So, from where did this idea came? Ki, I want to start into precision engineering for all defense, aerospace, and railways thing. What is your background, and how do you enter into this business?
Tanmay, in fact, myself and Madhu, who is also a co-promoter, we actually met in way back in 2015 in Chennai. At that point of time, we felt that, we will jump into this entrepreneurial mode. So we got together and acquired this V3 Technologies based out of Bangalore, which had only 5 CNC machines. As we were growing over the period of years organically, we felt that it was time that we convert this company into private limited. uh, you know, so in 2021, we applied for the ROC for the name, and V3 name was not available. So we had to coin this new company, Millworks Technologies Limited. So basically, the company, the formation of a private limited company happened only in 2021. So, as a passion for myself and Madhu, we have been mechanical engineers for more than 25 years in this field. So, machining and, a shop floor experience brought us, let us get into this entrepreneurial spirit. And every opportunity which we got in terms of manufacturing over the period of years, we have taken risk and move forward. So if you see from 2021 to now, we have been growing organically, initially with new CNC machines, with 2 machines, 4 machines added year on year. And then in 2022, we added our second plant, and 2024, we added our third plant, and then 2025, our fourth plant. So the growth has been phenomenal. And based on the market requirements and the existing customers who have been, encouraging us to grow to the next level. So the existing customers, kept on, giving us new inquiries, new orders, volume increase, and we have been delivering a quality product with an on-time delivery performance. So again, repeat orders keep coming in with this nature.
Got it. So, before jumping on the segments of the business, the name Millworks. What is the thesis of this name?
Milling is one of the basic operation of a machining.
Mm-hmm.
Turning is one of the operation which is also a part of the machining. So what happened was coining the millworks. We had to, we have more of milling activities, and milling is a complex machining process with 3 axis, 4 axis, and 5 axis. So we coined this word, and you see we have been lucky that the brand has been taken to the national and international level now.
Got it. So now jumping on the four segments of your business, one you do is aerospace, second you do is defense, third you do is railways, and fourth you do is semiconductor. So can you elaborate on four of these segments?
Yeah. First, I will talk about the defense sector business. We have been working with the defense companies India, and we have more than 12 companies in defense sector based out of Israel. So the defense sector growth we are seeing in last 2 years significantly very high, and the inquiries which we receive and then converting get into orders and delivering them. So we feel that we are in the right time at the right sector, and the growth has been very phenomenal. over the period of time, we also saw the drone sector also growing in electronic warfare and these type of newer this thing. We have wanted to be a part of this journey. So in last 1 year, we felt that the drone sector we had to be, because we had experience in the machining of the drone components, either a BLDC part or machining a composite part or a plastic or a 3D dimensional, 3D printed parts. So we had experience in these areas. So why not look out for a company where we can add value, join them and build a complete drone. So this is where, we made a small investment in the defense sector. And we have been growing at a much faster, 2x, 3x year on year with the defense sector. So we are going to grow this sector in the future, in the coming days. Coming to the aerospace sector, in the aerospace sector, we work with sector companies in India, also as the tier two companies to the aerospace sector in India as well as in Europe. So this also has been growing at a much faster rate. Here, the precisions are very high precision components requirement. At this point, we do not have a controlled atmosphere facility, and we are building up controlled atmosphere, that is a air conditioned plant with new machines coming in. So aerospace sector requires controlled atmosphere to machine components up to 2 microns to 5 microns. Presently, we are working between 10 to 15 microns without an air conditioning facility. The third sector is the rail sector, which has been our bread and butter for over the period of years. So we have been working with the multinational companies, OEMs, in India and Europe. In the rail sector, we have been exporting to almost 12 countries in Europe, US, and Canada. So the components which we are making goes into the braking systems, couplers, the door parts, the pantographs, actuators. All these parts go into a critical, critical assembly of a train. Either it's a metro train or any of those long distance trains. So we are proud to be in India and abroad, whether it's in Europe, our parts are there in most of the trains. So the rail sector is going to be, there will be a growth in the coming days. We see that this sector growth will also it's part of our government of India's Atmanirbhar, this thing. You can see now the high-speed train coming in. We are part of this, developing parts for the high-speed trains. Or, we are part of this Vande Bharat or Amrit Bharat Express. So our components are going into these trains. So this will also grow. The last sector, what we see is the semiconductor machinery. So I want to clarify over here, our parts go into the semiconductor machines, the machines which is used to build the chips or any of those. So we don't make we are not directly part of any semiconductor industry, but the machines which goes into the semiconductor manufacturing. So our parts, which are the frames and machine components and all these type of parts go into the people who are manufacturing machines for the semiconductor industry. So this is the four verticals which we are presently working. The top notch what we are seeing in the growth factor year on year, 100x, 1x, 2x, will be seeing that more in the defense sector.
Got it. So I was also seeing your revenue bifurcation per sector, and that has been fairly volatile. FY25, so semiconductor being a decently large portion, and which has came down, and also defense has now scaled up. So how do you see this revenue mix going forward?
Present order book, what we see is number one will be in the defense sector. And most of the businesses are coming from our export customers in Israel, as well as some of the customers in Europe. So this is going to be the number one business as we go in 26, 27, and 27, 28. The order books are phenomenal, and new inquiries are being generated here. The second thing is the aerospace sector itself. So we have been selected as part of part of some of the important projects in France as well as in Germany. So this will also grow. Uh, Rail sector growth, you will see, you will not see a significant growth, but it will grow. Semiconductor being a part of a machinery business, it will remain more or less in the same percentage. You will not see that much great numbers coming in the semiconductor machinery business.
So we can, sort of an assume that 50 to 60% is sort of a revenue, bifurcation should be towards the defense, and around 20-30% on the
Yes,
aerospace, and rest 20, 15,
exactly.
20% on railway plus semiconductor, if I'm getting it correct.
Ex- Exactly. Semiconductor will be in the single digit.
Mhm.
Defense sector will be 50 plus. Aerospace will be between 25 to 30, and around 15 to 20% will be in the rail sector.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sir, I was seeing your financials, so the trade receivables which I saw have been fairly spiked up. So like around 6-7 months of receivable we are standing, and there is a logical reason which I feel is the H2 billing for our company is about 70 odd percent or 80% of the revenue, which whose billings get generated, the cash flow comes in the H1 of the next financial. So this H1 FY27, is my understanding correct? And what steps are we taking forward to either reduce or manage this stretch working capital cycle?
The Tanmay, initially, when we moved into the sub-assemblies and assemblies and project management business, there's a calculated risk which we have taken, where in which a large portion of the business will be delivered on the completion of the orders. If you take our drone business itself, we work with the Government of India's Ministry of Defense, where in which the government doesn't give us any advance payments or anything. 50, 60 crores, in a small project itself, is being paid only on delivery. And these projects normally go between 8 to 10 months. So a lot of working capital gets stuck over here, and this is one of the reason. And why the receivables are very high in this year is we made a large amount of billing in the month of March for the Quickpay, and in turn they are now billing into the MOD. So a large amount of money is expected in this month and in the first week of August. And coming to our Israel and European customers, we had 90 to 120 days credit lines with them. With the volatility and the uncertainty what we are seeing in Europe right now, uh, all the shipping lines, most of the products which we are shipping them, they go in containers. These containers on the ocean shipment, they're all getting stuck in different places, either in Colombo port or in Haifa port, or different places of it is getting stuck and not getting delivered. So you see that our receivables getting more delayed because the components are not delivered to the customer end. So what we did is we cannot work in this way. So we went back to our customers, basically in Europe and in Israel, and we asked them, we requested them, you see, our working capital requirements are getting stuck. Why don't you help us with advance payments? So April onwards in this current year, all orders which we are receiving from Israel, we are getting a 30% advance payments. So our cash flow will be much better, and we need not wait for the deliverables. Also, we made it mandatory, thus, that we make it, all the parts going into Israel are being airlifted. It is not going by ocean ship. We don't want to make it Even though all our business is X works, it's from the date of invoicing. We don't take care of their logistics. The logistics on the exports is all X works. So it's up to them to take it by ocean or by air. So now we have made it a mandatory that our money also doesn't get locked in, so that we requested our customers to airlift all those components and make our payment within our time, 60 or 90 days. So this is one part. The second part is we are unable to make any cash flow improvements on any of our government of India's projects, MODs or MOD projects or BrahMos projects. Our money is going to get stuck here for 6 to 8 months on the projects, either it is drones or the missile systems for the BrahMos. These are all project-based things where more than getting money, we are supposed to give advance bank guarantees, 10% of the tender money is also getting stuck over there. This is a system which we have to live in, and we have to work on higher margins and work out on the inventory carrying costs. You build that in the product costing itself. So this is how we are going to work with all the projects which we are going to work with the government of India.
That gives a lot of clarity. And actually, my next question was supposed to be on the BGs, and you have fairly touched upon the point. Uh,
Yeah,
I was also looking the numbers difference between your DRHP and RHP numbers. The 2 months numbers have been around the 40% of your combined revenue. So,
correct.
like I assume H1 end of FY27 or very early H2, we should see the payments and cash flows coming in. But
Correct.
I feel it is fair to assume there is no sort of a worry on the money getting stuck beyond the limit. Is fair to assume, right?
Yeah, yeah, the major portion of this money right now is more than 50% or more than 60% of this money receivables is stuck with the government of India MODs, this thing. And that will get closed because this is one project, which got the money got stuck over here. As part of all the Israeli customers, all the funds are all flowing, in last 1.5 month, funds are flowing fairly well.
Got it. So coming on this, no, I was seeing there is a concern among, there's a company called as Quickpay from which you derive around a 47% revenue. And so what is this sort of an arrangement with this company?
What we did was, as I mentioned earlier, Quickpay is a drone manufacturing company based out of Noida. Presently, they are working on a 190 sets of loitering munition order from the artillery division of Government of India MOD's order. So when we were looking out for strategic investments and looking out for to be in the defense sector area, we found that as part of this thing, we could help them. We could help QuickPay quickly deliver, the drones which they already have an order. So the skill sets of Millworks and QuickPay, they match together to form a team. And Millworks is really good in machining, of important components, either in composites or aluminum parts, which goes into this drone. There are some smaller electronic modules like battery management systems or the autopilots and all. We gained this over the period of time. We built this capability to build our own in-house battery management system or the autopilots. So we helped build, the drones for QuickPay with the engineering support and the prototypes. And in the last 8 months, we worked on this. As part of the strategic investment, we also hold a small minority stake in QuickPay Limited. So, we are going to work on along with them in a long-term perspective, building, engine-based drones, high-end drones, combining our capability as well as their capability. QuickPay is very strong in the software part of the drone, either building a logic or building all the systems which is required into the electronic warfare system. Presently, the entire defense industry is working on a EW warfare. So QuickPay is really good in building this into the drone system, and this has been proven again and again with more and more product lines which we have, which they have already built. The facility in Noida is the Ministry of Defense approved license is there available, and then they have been building this for some time now. And there is a large project which they are delivering later part of this month, where in which from the component level, sub-assembly level, and on the product level, we have supported them. And in the month of March, we made we made all these assemblies and sub-assemblies and deliver them in the month of March. So now they are ready to deliver, and the MOD is presently at this moment is inspecting all those components before dispatch.
So actually, I was reading about Quickpay, in the ROC, and I'm assuming the details won't be, that great with me. But no, whatever details I could look at, currently it is a fairly small company, and obviously with this audit should go big. But do you feel the company is fairly capitalized on one part, and second part of this would be obviously they are not going to prepay you; they are going to pay you after they receive the cash flow from MOD, and
Exactly.
that actually spikes up the entire working at WC for you because I am assuming the payment should be around 9 to 12 months because that they should receive in about 6 to 8 months.
So,
So
Tanmay, what happens is, being an MSME sector, the first project or, successful, second or third project, when a large project comes, it is always between how you manage the business. This is where, Millworks has come in terms with an arrangement with QuickPay. So, the way the MODs tender this thing is with them is 60% of the payment is paid before dispatch. So, this is we have an arrangement back-to-back payments cycle to be received from QuickPay to us. So this project we are helping them, successfully deliver, keeping our own skill sets in place. But going further, we are going to help them in a slightly different way, helping them with their own banking, banking support, either in terms of debt or any of those. But we will have to support them continuously, as the next projects are more than, large projects. They are more than 100 crore projects where they will require, technical assistance in terms of mechanical parts or, 3D printed parts, such type of parts they will require. So we will collaborate with them and work in a, much better way.
got it. So thanks for that clarity because I was seeing our company being in the limelight as our IPO has been declared, but this is one sort of a thing on Quickpay which everyone is having a concern, and I feel this has been pretty well answered. Uh,
Yeah.
my next question would be, we are on a very vast sort of a product portfolio and four different segments and fairly contributing in the revenue. So, what do you new segments or subsegments Millworks is expecting 1 year or 2 years down the line we should enter or expand into those?
So what we are presently seeing, pre-COVID, what happened is we were very active in the rail sector, and then there was a Boeing Max scenario came in between 21 and 22, and if we are there in one single segment and working on this, there is always the business model dripping, going down, so. I've seen companies who are only into aerospace when it came prior to prior to COVID and just after COVID, their revenue decreased. But if you see our own this thing, during COVID time, we actually doubled our top line and order bookings. Also, we grew up. So it is always good to be in multiple segments, and we intend to be in multiple segments. Now, in defense sector, right now we have been working only on the component level business, and our future is now we want to get into assemblies, sub-assemblies. Component is going to be there as part of assembly. But there are opportunities where in which our customers have come back to build in fuselage systems or large missile carrier systems, where in which a machine component, sheet metal component, bought out items, you do welding or riveting or such type of class A critical items. So we intend to be in that league in the defense sector. That we have a strategic roadmap in place with post IPO investments in adding new machineries, which is part of our investment plan. So we will be growing in that sector. And coming back to the aerospace sector, we feel that presently many of the parts which we are supplying, we are on the tier two for the top-notch aerospace companies, either in France or in the US. So our intention is when we put up a controlled atmosphere facility, we will now be in the big league to supply components, sub-assemblies, and assemblies to the top aerospace companies. So these are the two sectors which we will be focusing in next 3 years, and growing at will grow at a much faster rate.
Got it. And I was also reading about the supply chain shift happening from the US and North European aerospace and defense component companies to countries like India, because I read about Spirit.
Yeah.
The I would say manpower or labor cost on their overall balance sheet has now on their P&L has been to about 30-40% odd in India, which is at about 4 to 7%, anywhere between that. So it is fair to assume that a lot of supply chain shifts are happening even on the commercial aerospace part. Obviously, there are a lot more qualifications on that end, but military as well as commercial or that ecosystem is coming in India. I feel 5 years down the line, it should be pretty large.
I agree with you, Tanmay. So we see that, with the announcement of the IPO itself, we are seeing that newer companies are also coming in. But as of now, we are not geared up for deliverables because we need to build up the
Hmm.
infrastructure. It will take 6 to 8 months, and post that, we can focus on the new inquiries coming in.
Any sort of an we are expecting to go into commercial aerospace components as well.
We are presently doing for a couple of US customers on the commercial side,
Mhm.
but again, they're all on tier two. Now, what is happening here is, as we move forward, it is always good to have a strategic tie-up with a good, good OEMs on developing some of the key components, and then grow in that segment. I want to give an example like, Azad Engineering has been really good. I see them, they make the blades for the engines, which is not everyone can do it. And they have specialized over the period of time. And then either it's a turbine blade or an engine blade, they have top-notch, and the customers across the world, across the competition, they come for that product to them. So we intend to follow, some of the learnings and specialized, and not to be, I mean, on some of the sector itself.
Got it. So before letting you go, I would wish you all the best for your IPO, and I'm expecting a blockbuster debut. And my last question
Thank you,
would be,
Tanmay.
what sort of a growth prospects do you expect going forward? Because I'm seeing the two things. First is our past growth has been exponentially high, and the working capital estimates, RHP also suggest Obviously, even a very high growth on even that larger base. So, what sort of an
Yeah.
expectations investors coming forward on the cap table should
So what I am presently seeing here is next 2 years we intend to double our top line, keeping the bottom line same. So just by being in these existing projects, but we will take risks into new projects, new business lines over the period of time. So anyway, thank you very much, Tanmay, for your time.